We've got the brand new BYD Atto 2 for you. It's a compact electric SUV that comes with plenty of great features, but also, and this is something we need to discuss today, unfortunately, a few drawbacks as well. It's launching right now in Germany, starting at 29,900 euros as a launch edition, with only a limited number of units available. You really shouldn't miss out on this exclusive price discount opportunity right now. But before you decide on a BYD Atto 2, you should first check out this classic review, including a driving test, so you can be as informed as possible about the vehicle. I'd say we don't waste any time. Let's get started with the BYD Atto 2. And as always, we begin from the outside, starting at the front. Take a look at the front section of the brand new BYD Atto 2. And here I think BYD has once again created a beautiful, modern, yet timelessly elegant vehicle. A design attributed to it, which is further enhanced here by the air curtains for efficient aerodynamics, ensuring that you can achieve maximum range consistently throughout the year, whether it's summer or winter. Always on board are the full LED headlights, which also feature a high and low beam function, and below them, quite smartly, the corresponding daytime running lights. Yes, I'm curious to hear how you describe the design from the outside. Do you find it too plain, or is it maybe even this understated appearance that one would ideally envision for a compact electric SUV, blending simplicity with modern appeal? Yes, when we look at the side, we can definitely see the 17-inch alloy wheels. What I really like is that they don't have such an aerodynamically optimized design, giving them a slightly more classic and conservative appearance overall. 17 inches, 215 60R 17H, but honestly, I have to say, when you look at those large wheel arches, it might even feel a bit pretty small. I'm curious to see how you'll rate it. I would have wished that BYD had offered the car some nice, bold wheel and tire combinations. But the smaller, the finer, the greater the range. That might also be a point, because BYD says with this battery size, we can achieve over 300 kilometers combined. And in the city, probably even over 460 kilometers. Whether we can achieve that is something we'll obviously find out during our test drive today. Find out. You can also really see the BYD design language here, especially down in the sill area, where you can see a bit of the car's color again. We've got it in a beautiful metallic white, captured beautifully. Nicely shown, so it appears solid, it looks powerful, and all that on a compact length of 4.31 meters, making it both robust and agile. Yes, BYD has installed the Blade battery, which of course is also supposed to be non-combustible and is designed for a long durability. That means you have 6 years of full warranty on the car, up to 150,000 kilometers, and even 8 years of warranty, of course, on the battery, the motor, and the drive system. You can see here very clearly that the laugh line runs straight, ensuring that you have plenty of maximum space and comfort throughout the vehicle. And I have to spoil it for you in advance. You'll be surprised how much space you get, even with a vehicle length of 4 meters 31. For me, the rear section is the cream of the crop. Modern LED taillight design that's carried through very beautifully here. It's very well executed, I think, and then paired with the robust and bold front lower section, which is nicely contrasted in black plus these silver elements. Especially from the back, Stefan, if you could maybe step back a bit, that's where you really see it. That the car actually appears significantly larger on the outside than what the technical specs would lead you to believe, right?
Yeah, it's really going to be quite solid, huh?
I'm genuinely quite curious to hear how you all rate the design of this vehicle in the comments below. Let's talk about the dimensions. It's 4.31 meters long, it's 1.67 meters tall. For comparison, I'm 1.85 meters tall, and it's 1.83 meters wide, including the side mirrors. That means you should still manage to pass through the left lane in a highway construction zone without any issues. The wheelbase measures 2.62 meters, and with its short overhangs, BYD ensures there's plenty of comfortable space for you inside the vehicle. It's powered by a front motor, which is positioned right here at the front axle. It delivers 130 kilowatts of peak power with 177 horsepower, 290 newton meters of torque. and it's meant to accelerate from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in an impressive 7.9 seconds. That was a bit ironic since there are still plenty of cars that can accelerate even faster. But for this vehicle class, I think it's really solid. In the 2.62 meter wheelbase, the BYD Blade battery comes into play, which offers numerous advantages and is of course firmly integrated into the body structure to enhance stability and efficiency. And thus, of course, it forms a good unit. It has a gross capacity of 47 kilowatt hours, of which you can use 45.12 kilowatt hours net. BYD mentions a combined WLTP range of 312 kilometers overall and even up to 463 kilometers in the city. For those of you who might be thinking, I wish I had a larger battery pack, you can essentially look forward to a performance boost of roughly 1/3 more capacity. So I assume it's around roughly 60 kilowatt hours will follow in Q4 as the comfort variant, and then later on it'll be supplemented with a larger battery pack. It charges here by default, supporting 3-phase 11 kilowatt AC charging, or alternatively CCS, with a peak charging rate of up to 65 kilowatts. Yes, Stefan, you heard that right. 65 kilowatt.
Peak. That's not really impressive, to be honest.
And that might be one of those little moments where some of you will say, hey, stop, now I'm out of here. No, stop, you're still in. Why? Because even though it's charging, the car goes from 10 to 80% in just 37 minutes. That might, of course, be too slow for many, but then, period. That applies to the Active and the Boost variants. The Boost is currently our test model here. The Comfort variant is on its way, and BYD is introducing both the larger battery and the faster charging speed. It's expected to go from 10 to 80% in roughly 26 minutes. And that's precisely what will make people choose it, especially those who plan to use it for medium or long-distance trips. They want to use it. What BYD has managed to achieve, I think, is absolutely brilliant. For an electric compact SUV, the weight here is 1,570 kilograms, which is actually pretty light for a vehicle of this category, especially when you take a closer look at some of those other heavy, bloated compact electric SUVs on the market. Let's take a look under the front hood. You'll be genuinely surprised by just how much space is actually available up here in this area. What's hidden down here, but also how much space BYD unfortunately wastes. Here you can really see the electric motor quite clearly, as well as a bit of the charging technology integrated into the system, I believe, still built on top of that. And you can really see here very clearly just how deep a frunk, meaning a front trunk, could have been integrated into this design. That would have been interesting, maybe to store your charging cables or other bits and bobs, keeping everything neatly organized and out of sight. Then mixing it with luggage, especially when it might get dirty during rainy weather or throughout the winter season. Just as I would have wished we had 2 range hoods here and maybe some additional insulation here as well. But whether insulation is truly necessary, we'll determine that together later when we carefully analyze the internal noise levels. Now let's take a moment here and listen to how a heavy BYD hood actually sounds, shall we, Stefan?
I'm curious.
3, 2, 1... More intriguing than the frunk is always the trunk for you, referring to the rear storage compartment. And it should hopefully...
Number no? Not really, no.
You can probably also not expect it in the compact class, especially when the Aura Dry has already managed to grab quite a bit of attention with its electric tailgate and, of course, delighted my comfort-conscious nature even further. 400 liters of trunk space, I repeat, 4.00, that's truly incredibly and impressively massive. Here with a nice carpet, but look how delicate it is. Yeah.
It's already got these first few marks on it.
The car just arrived and has already managed to pick up a few scratches here and there, you can see. But you can see that BYD is also making excellent use of the available space down here, where, for instance, you can conveniently store charging cables in a bag like this. Can use. What I forgot to mention earlier about the battery is the vehicle-to-load function, always included as standard along with a heat pump and vehicle-to-load with 3.3 kilowatts. Which is a bit of a shame is that BYD has kind of skimped a bit on the felt or carpet here. You can see even here the first scratches are already starting to become visible on the hard plastic surface. And that's exactly what the ladies and gentlemen naturally don't like when their beautiful BYD Atto 2, then it just gets scratched. Up here, there's a harder plastic again. But in a way, I also find it okay because BYD starts the Atto 2 at 29,900 euros. And with that, it's highly price competitive compared to its direct rivals. A sturdy and well-made hatch shelf that feels solid. That's also not always a given. Here, it's included as standard equipment, so you naturally have the flexibility to make necessary adjustments to the trunk space as needed. And if there's something to load higher, some might be surprised that we don't have a partition here to maybe split the 20% in the middle, or perhaps a pass-through for something long like skis. But BYD naturally first thinks about the urban environment where you might use the car, and in that case, it might not really be necessary after all. If you fold the seats down, 60 to 40, you get an almost flat surface that slightly rises towards the front seats, and you increase the loading. Volume increases from 400 liters to 1,340 liters. Stefan, that's quite substantial, isn't it?
In that segment?
The mother-in-law's dresser fits in there without any trouble at all. That's definitely useful, especially if you're planning to transport something with the Atto 2 as well. If the space inside isn't enough, BYD says it's no problem at all. Thing is, we've got a nice roof rack where you can carry up to 50 kilograms of additional load on the roof. And for those who still need more, BYD offers an optional tow hitch, both braked and unbraked. Here, up to 750 kilograms of trailer load should be possible even on a 12% incline. And you have a nose weight of 75 kilograms, so hopefully 2 e-bikes with a rear bike rack can also fit onto the tow hitch. Outside, we've shown you everything. I'd say, let me take you inside for a closer look. And BYD promises one of the most premium interiors in its class, truly impressive. In any case, we have single glazing here. There could also be double glazing, where 2 panes are connected by a film. But even that is extremely rare in the compact class, almost unheard of. Now take a look at this door trim, please. It's worth a closer inspection. And that's truly ingenious. Vegan is leather. Here I believe it's very, very well crafted. But it could also be a synthetic material with a hint of stitching. In any case, it's soft, under-padded, and provides a nice surface for enthusiasts of polishing their elbows, so to speak. So you don't end up with a pressure point on longer journeys. Here, we have the finest, I almost said Alcantara, as the Spaniard would call it, but it's not. It's like a neoprene material. I know it from my Mercedes EQS, but it feels good and adds a nice touch here as well. Then here's the plastic with a nice sturdy handle, which is made of plastic, but has a high-quality finish. Here, nicely padded, this is precisely what BYD consistently promises across all of its vehicles. Where you essentially place your hands, your elbows, or your bottoms, there should always be the absolute highest level of comfort provided. The fries counter is a must. Here, nicely sized double extra large to have a spot to place your fries. Mirror adjustment, just as it should be. Then the electric window controls. Central locking and of course the child lock for the rear. That's important if you're taking your kids along and you naturally don't want them playing around with the windows. A bit of ambient lighting really completes the look. Here's a nice clean seam for a touch of refreshment. I like it very, very much. And you can also get it in the presentation color Wandergrün, hiking green, as it's officially referred to in the lineup. Hiking, yeah. As the Chinese say in English. I think it could even be a little bit like hiking green, to be honest, you know? That's why I'm bringing it up now. Additionally, he emphasizes a really nice dark gray. I think that's also the free standard color and a black. So a really nice and stylish color range for the
Gischer. That covers, I think, 90% of German preferences too.
Exactly. We have a nice hard plastic casing here. Stefan affectionately calls it what?
Stop.
Yes, and that in its most extreme form. Also here without material, without rubber mat, everything rustling, everything clattering. I know some of you don't place any value on that. For them, it's more important that you can put a bottle in here. That's why I also brought one along, so you can give it a try. A large bottle I think wouldn't fit in there now, but something like half a liter, that always works. Yeah, and if it starts to rustle and clatter, you might just have to head over to the hardware store, grab some material, and fix it in place with tape. Or, right, so what are we actually collecting all the time? It doesn't matter with a hard plastic anyway, does it? Yeah.
That's exactly the way it should be.
Welcome to the dashboard of the BYD Build Your Dreams Atto 2, where we'll thoroughly explore all its unique features in detail. Up here, we have a nice soft touch plastic, very, very high quality, with a subtle seam. I really like it. This is also all softly padded. You can see it here, I think, very, very well through my finger. And down here is again what looks like Alcantara, but more like a Neoprene material there, really have to praise BYD vegan interior. Everything padded, everything softened, at least up to the waistline. It's almost premium level, so really have to give them credit for that, fair to say. Yeah, 10.8-inch driver information display, which you can also adjust very nicely in brightness, and you also have the option to set it to dark mode, of course. It's a well-thought-out feature that significantly enhances the interior's premium feel and usability, just like in light mode. For all the folks who only prefer dark mode, like me, but for the cameras, of course, better in light mode. Yes, the multifunction steering wheel is again made of vegan leather with that nice contrast stitch here. Here at the hub button, let's see if it works. Oh, it does. And here again, look, it has this subtle stitch detail that doesn't even exist, or at least it didn't in my Mercedes EQS. On the left, we have the turn signal, including the headlight control. On the right, we have the controls for the wiper lever and the rear wiper, and here it's nicely done as it should be. I can only keep praising it, praising it, praising it, praising it, praising it, praising it, praising it. Haptic buttons.
Very good. Also with the little knobs that you can press up and down a bit. Perfect.
Four-spoke design here, featuring a lacquered plastic finish, complemented by a subtle chrome line, and slightly flattened at the bottom for a sleek look. Gotta say, it's really stylish for some, for me too. Maybe it's a bit on the conservative side, don't you think? I'd have wanted a three-spoke wheel as well. 130 kilowatts, 177 horsepower, 7.9 seconds to 100 is pretty sporty, don't you think? You can adjust the steering wheel in height and, of course, in the distance. Yeah, the highlight is definitely the 12.8-inch touchscreen display here in the Boost trim. In the base model, I think it's a 10.8-inch screen. Then there's the Active, which will be available in limited quantities at launch, starting from 29,900 euros. You'll have to decide if the small price increase to the Boost is worth the extra features for you, which also includes a 360-degree camera system, additional tech, and a lot more. It really comes down to whether you value those extras for the upgrade. I think I'm Team Boost, to be honest. But, of course, in the end, it's entirely up to you to decide what works best for you. Always included, of course, is the corresponding navigation system. We've also integrated an 8-core processor here again. BYD always spares no expense, as in all their vehicles. And for all of you who turn this into a hobby, you'll see just how quickly and smoothly it works. So, I have to say I don't know who does it, but if they do it, then it's just really smooth. Always on hand, you've got Spotify, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, and wireless connectivity. You have with you Amazon Music, the account you can plug in here, and also YouTube. So you have plenty of options to use your favorite apps and features here in the Atto 2, making it super convenient and really user-friendly. And of course, the 37 minutes for the 1080% charge will probably fly by even faster than sound. Or you wait for Q4. When the Comfort arrives, it will, by the way, start at 38,990 euros. And then with the larger battery and the significantly faster charging capability, yes, haptic air vents once more crafted with exceptional quality. Here again featuring vegan leather complete with the stitching details. Nice and SUV-like, where mom and dad can also hold on. When driving through light off-road terrain, everything is solidly and robustly built. We also have the inductive charging pad here on board for a smartphone. I would maybe have wished that it could do a bit more. Sure, you could also fit 2 in there. I mean, it probably wouldn't cost much more. So today, we're being a little demanding. Very nice, though. Here again with its crystal-like look. The gear selector with the start-stop button, not the case, but the taste. I'll come back to that. I have it closer. I didn't have it. No guessed? So you have the auto hold function, and of course, you also have here the additional controls and features that really add to the overall premium feel of the interior. Then I believe the control for the recuperation in standard or high mode. So high recuperation, you have the volume control, which I always find important to quickly adjust this here. And then you also have the drive mode selector here, where you can switch between eco, normal, and sport modes. Plus, of course, the hazard light lever. You have 2 cup holders, which we've now used for the interior noise measurements. We naturally have the GPS device with us because Stefan says 7.9 seconds. He should prove to us first whether he can actually manage that, because that's pretty impressive for the compact class. And we've got it nicely heated here with vegan leather and the corresponding stitching nicely soft with foam underneath. A center armrest also checks the ergonomics. It fits very, very well in terms of height. And I've also got here with my obese body 99.9 kilos and 1.85 meters, there's plenty of space, even in headroom, Stefan, right?
Yeah, that's really...
See the panoramic glass roof?
With the water droplets on it, looks good today, huh?
Yeah, I'm panning a bit, but there's also a blind there, so you can adjust it as needed, right? So why can the BYD start at 29,900 euros while other manufacturers say, just go to the aftermarket and buy something to attach there? Or buy some bling-bling adjustment for, say, 2,000 or 2,500 euros. I think Porsche even charges more for that. So let's get back to the center armrest, because, you see, he could actually flip it up. When he flips it up, it's not just like, oh, this here I think is some kind of... Look, this is clearly all about safety first. This is a special knife specifically designed so you can cut through the belt. I think it's a good idea. It really should, in my opinion, come standard in every car. I don't even know what this is.
These seatbelt cutters, you can buy them nearby. They just toss them in the glove box. You should definitely have them.
You can take them along. It wasn't in the EQS dart. We'll leave it here. We're tidy people. At the bottom, there's a rubber mat. Look how deep it goes, about a hand's length and a bit more. It extends all the way down, so you've got plenty of space to store a whole bunch of extra things and gear down there as well. And of course, BYD places the utmost importance on your safety. That's why you have the most advanced assistance systems, which we'll show you all in the driving report shortly. Of course, standard equipment on board, plus the corresponding crash safety. And I assume, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the Atto 2 will hopefully manage to secure the 5-star rating in the NCAP crash test as well. That's important. After all, we all have only one health to take care of and protect.
But you've got a really good spot there, huh?
Man, I'm telling you, I think I've only had this much space before, like in the EQS. I can stretch out my legs in a compact electric SUV. I can obviously adjust the seat electrically on both the driver's and the passenger's side. Unfortunately, though, only on the driver's side for the height. I'm wondering, dear friends at BYD, why not give the passenger this seat height adjustment? I know that many Asian vehicles unfortunately don't always include this as standard equipment, but I believe here it should be part of the European standard. It's essential for comfort. What BYD naturally leverages, having fully embraced and understood e-mobility from the very beginning, is also an additional lower level featuring an incredibly spacious, large... To equip the charging compartment here, unfortunately, it's not rubberized, but simply hard plastic with a ribbed texture. I personally think it could have been solved a bit more elegantly with a rubber mat, but that's just my taste. We have a USB-C port and a USB-A port, which is supposed to deliver up to 50 watts. We've seen other manufacturers offer 90 watts. Swing, so this is a decent middle ground, but perhaps still sufficient to maybe charge your laptop while traveling and to charge accordingly, yes. Where we have to be honest is, as I said, from the waistline down, it's made of harder plastic again. Zrenia, but at least it's nicely textured. However, you can see that it's super scratch prone, and that needs to be addressed because no one wants to have 6 years of full warranty, drive such a beautiful car for 6 years or longer, and then end up with scratches and scuffs everywhere. And even here in the glove compartment, maybe a small felt or a small carpet in here could perhaps add a bit more refinement and a subtle touch of elegance to the overall feel. But I have to keep repeating myself, starting at 29,900 euros, and I need your input on this. Are you team best price and less performance, or do you think that if I'm already investing a minimum of 29,900 euros, here, with the boost, even significantly more, then I naturally expect the best material mix across the board. I'm genuinely curious to hear what you'll write in the comments. Yes, what's definitely included are these stunning sporty seats, once again crafted from vegan leather, which comes standard with the package. Unfortunately, not height adjustable on the passenger seat. I can repeat it, but you definitely have seat heating in the boost trim, both for the driver and passenger seats, including steering wheel heating. That's why always keep an eye on boost or later Q4 Comfort, because that's where you'll essentially get the full RS features included as well. The all-inclusive package, or as it used to be called so nicely, the full Monty integrated headrest here again with the pass-through. Then into the back seat, we also have very nice shoulder cushions. We have excellent support here in the lumbar region. It's truly exemplary. We have a nice long seat base that can't be extended further, but I don't think that's necessary. With a nice perforation that ensures you don't even start sweating in the summer on these vegan seats. If we blast the seat heating full on in the summer, there are definitely some ladies out there, I had one myself, who would enjoy turning it on full blast even at 30 degrees outside.
I just don't understand why, but oh well.
Well, whoever wishes for it, let them have it. So what he also ends up getting is, and I know there's the colleague again, 34 years and he hasn't said a single word about it. But I tell you, Strelitzer Straße, Strelitzer Chaussee by the Schelling, feel free to come to Neustrelitz. Visit us at the Park Hotel for Sunnery. You'll see it rattles. So back here we definitely have another emergency release mechanism. And therefore, if you're driving alone and the car vibrates a bit, unfortunately, it will rattle here. That could, I think, be handled in a smarter and maybe even a bit better way. Here we also have a beautiful black ceiling. Up here, fabric, then here some plastic, but also nicely textured. And here up front, along the A-pillar, and then down here, the hard plastic, which Stefan always so affectionately refers to as...
Still just plastic, isn't it, really?
Exactly. That's always my concern. When the colleagues don't have vulcanized soles, that they might get stuck there and then, over time, as usual. At home on the cutting board, the first scratches slowly start to gradually bore into the plastic surface. That would of course be a shame. It's always nice when it's a bit softer, because then the hard can glide over the soft much more smoothly and effortlessly. So I think you could put it that way. We're moving on to the rear seat test, and this is important for many of you because you don't just want to use the BYD Atto 2 alone or as a couple, but also for the family, for older kids, or maybe even for 4 adults heading to the opera in the evening, or maybe for a nice trip. I'm 1.85 meters tall, weigh 99.9 kilograms, and here we have a nice large door where I can comfortably enjoy the entry height into the BYD Atto 3 with ease and space. Back here, I'm sitting as snug as a bug in a rug on the generously cushioned, soft, and incredibly comfortable seats. How it actually feels during the drive, we'll later find out in detail, and in a comparable way, of course, using Stefan's trusty popometer for precise measurements. What I definitely notice is, take a look, just see how much space I have here. A full fist at 4.31 meters of vehicle length in the compact segment that really shows that BYD offers one of the largest interiors in its class, and in my opinion, also the perfect space utilization of an electric vehicle. Unfortunately, BYD doesn't provide a center armrest in the rear. That's a bit of a shame because I think here, especially with 4 adults, given this enormous headroom of over a fist at 1.85 meters tall, including the glass roof with a shade, yeah, unfortunately, they didn't design it to let you comfortably rest your arm here. That's what I find a bit disappointing. Very, very unfortunate, and I can only suggest as a recommendation that they seriously consider adding such a feature in a future model update or redesign. And even if you have the seat all the way back and all the way down like I do here, resembling a meatball at the Königsberger Klopse gathering, you'll still find ample room for an adult person to sit comfortably, who's a bit more delicate than I am. And I've got to admit, the seats back here are just as comfy as the ones up front. Very well executed, offering some thigh support and a bit of side support here. You have a headrest, which you can, of course, adjust in height as needed. And even for a short trip, a third person, if you're feeling generous enough, could still manage to find a comfortable spot back here. We have child ISOFIX here on both the driver's side and the passenger side. That's definitely important for you as fathers or mothers, particularly when you're looking after young children who need those essential safety features. And that's of course also important with the seat spacing because these ISOFIX seats can sometimes take up a bit more room in terms of length. What's nice for the little ones, but also for the older passengers, are these different pockets here, which I think add a lot of convenience. Whether it's for a smartphone, a small tablet, a large tablet, or even toys. And here you can see everything with vegan leather extending all the way down here. Look, Stefan, it goes all the way down, fully wrapped and covered throughout. That's truly exemplary. My feet fit in here perfectly and comfortably. Under the seat, good. I can adjust the height of the seat, but if it's all the way down, it's a bit more cumbersome. I can't test it now since it doesn't seem height adjustable. So here we have some nice compartments, but everything is really very well made. And if you take another look at the door trim, then you see that BYD isn't as stingy as the VW group, but instead offers what's in the front also in the back. So at the top, a plastic with the implied seam, then you've got the neoprene surface as well, and then there's the faux leather with the overlay and the seam. This is really well made. A nice, spacious compartment is located down there, and naturally the bottom is made of hard plastic again. But look, Stefan, there's also hard plastic here, but the strap, they did it cleverly. It always lands on the soft part here, you know? Exactly. I think there might be a side airbag behind here. Perhaps it's a seam. That's just my speculation. So from that perspective, it's quite stylish. And as I was saying, the space utilization, particularly with the headroom, is truly exemplary and well thought out. We've shown you everything on the outside, we've shown you everything on the inside. Now let's move on to the detailed driving review of the BYD Atto 2. We've just hit the road with the BYD Atto 2, smoothly cruising along our test track, which is perfectly nestled in the stunning and picturesque surroundings of Frankfurt Dreieich. You already know it from the one or other video, and it of course offers plenty of opportunities for us to test, explore, and thoroughly experience the Atto 2 together with you. We've arrived on the highway, and of course the BYD also comes equipped with a range of advanced assistance systems on board, specifically designed to provide you with reliable semi-autonomous driving support throughout your journey. This includes a steering assist, a lane keeping assist, as well as the adaptive cruise control, which you can adjust in several levels. Relative to the vehicle ahead, we're driving at 120 kilometers per hour. Here we'll also encounter some temporary speed limits once again. Unfortunately, the traffic sign recognition didn't manage to detect any speed limit here at all. That means it's simply displaying dashes here, and that could certainly pose a challenge, especially if you're relying on assisted speed control to help manage your driving. Because the BYD Atto 2 is also specifically built to handle that, automatically adjusting the speed to align with the updated limit when it changes, and then readjusting accordingly. What it does remarkably well, incredibly smoothly, and most importantly, is maintaining a precise position right in the center of the lane. It smoothly handles any unevenness, making it an excellent choice for medium and long-distance drives, where it truly shines and significantly enhances your overall driving experience. Then to travel with the Atto 2. Yes, we're eager to fully unleash the 130 kilowatts, 177 horsepower, and feel the power. 290 Newton meters of torque are unlocked here, and naturally we can also push the maximum speed with you, which should be around 160 kilometers per hour. We even managed to hit 167 kilometers per hour on the speedometer, and it still maintains a firm yet comfortable feel on the road, delivering a sense of security even when we take a long curve at 167 kilometers per hour. The handling remains precise and the car feels stable, making it a confident and enjoyable drive at high speeds. Yes, there's no one behind us, so we can brake a bit more aggressively, and it really grips the road firmly when we do, showing its strong stopping power. In an emergency, having strong and reliable deceleration is absolutely essential when it matters most. Here, you still feel completely secure even when braking harder, knowing they'll respond reliably and keep you fully in control. That's always important, to actually experience it firsthand and try it out together with you on a test drive like this, seeing firsthand how it performs in real conditions. Yes, we're accelerating out again, and well, it's not exactly a sporty vehicle in the sense of achieving high acceleration values, but rather a comfortable travel companion designed for relaxed and smooth journeys, and you'll likely drive at more moderate speeds most of the time, enjoying the ride and the overall ease of handling. Yes, it's back up to 120, and unfortunately here as well, it's now taken the traffic sign recognition and automatically adjusted the adaptive cruise control system accordingly to match the new speed limit. We're going to test this again here too, when 70 comes up shortly, to see if he then also adopts the value accordingly. He didn't do that just now in the adaptive cruise control within the speed range here, and that means we have to manually correct it once more, so the speed adjustment itself, we've activated it here in the system, but unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be functioning correctly in our participant at the moment. Maybe we're dealing with the infamous user error again, Stefan, right?
It really shouldn't be happening much anymore now.
Yeah, even at 70, you can still take the curve smoothly. And yeah, I've got to say, he handles the freeway really well. Like, it's seriously impressive how comfortable and confident he is with it. But many of you will likely want to use it more in an urban setting, especially around the city. A nice travel comfort on the highway also includes a great sound system. And BYD says they've also packed something good into the Atto 2. I have to say, it sounds pretty decent.
Ja, doch. Reicht aus, würde ich sagen, ja.
I also think it might not quite match up to high-end sound systems, but you can't really expect that in this price range either. But you get a nice stereo surround sound here. It does that well. And what's also awesome is, look, Stefan, you always have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto Wireless seamlessly built in. And in the 12.8-inch display, you're provided with a very nice integration. What I really like is the volume knob on the steering wheel for adjusting the sound, and there's the same feature conveniently placed here on the center console as well. That's always nice when you just feel like wanting to lower the volume a bit as needed. How annoying can a beep actually be?
I don't need it. Awful, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of exhausting and really tiring, isn't it?
Yeah. It's just really annoying, isn't it?
In an urban environment, the turning radius is also important, and with 10.50 meters, despite the front engine on the front axle, I think we've achieved a really good turning radius, which here allows me to very smoothly and performantly maneuver around the Stoffel with remarkable ease and precision. This is very important when you're moving around the city with the Atto 2... Even more important than the turning radius for many of you is the ability to then use the Atto 2 maybe to park in reverse, and from the boost trim onwards, you always have a 360-degree camera as standard. That's why I'm such a fan of the boost variant, because, well, you can enjoy the maximum equipment right from the start, so to speak. And that's naturally a fantastic thing, because you might not be used to this as standard. Here you also have the option to use additional features like the bird's eye view around the car, which is maybe also important if you don't want to scrape those stylish 17-inch alloy wheels against the curb. And just think about how handy it is when you're navigating tight spots or tricky parking situations. It really makes a difference. Plus, it's not just about convenience, it's about protecting your investment and keeping your car looking pristine. So yeah, it's definitely worth considering. You can effortlessly switch between 3D and 2D views and take advantage of a 180-degree perspective, which is ideal for reversing out of the driveway or getting a clear, wide-angle forward view. This feature makes navigating tight spaces or tricky maneuvers so much simpler and more convenient, giving you added confidence behind the wheel. To maybe then spot pedestrians, cyclists, or children over a crosswalk when exiting an underground garage, ensuring better visibility and safety in such situations. That probably also comes with guidelines, right? Is that something important for any of you who might feel a bit unsure about the front turning radius of the BYD Atto 2? So you'll naturally have the corresponding guidelines in the front, just like when reversing in the back. We're ready to do a launch with you. I've already turned on sport mode. Stefan, have you activated the draggy yet? Go. Countdown. 3,
2, 1.
Go! And he's pushing forward with squealing wheels. 30, 50, still struggling to maintain proper tire traction. 70, 80, 90, 100. And naturally, we also want to take a moment to test out the braking system. Here as well, it pulls really smoothly backward. And let's take a moment to check if Stefan has already managed to record an initial value on the draggy measurement device.
Yes, we've got 0 to 60 in 4.62 seconds, 0 to 100 in 380 seconds, 9.69. Yeah, that's pretty decent actually. Not bad at all.
Yeah, he had a bit of slip here on the surface. We've got Hankook summer tires installed, specifically designed for electric cars, the good ion ones, which perform really well in these conditions. But of course, today we have an outside temperature of 14 degrees. That should actually be fine. The road is also dry, but he just ended up getting a slight bit of slip there, you see. And there you can also notice that the 130 kilowatts with the 1.57 tons plus us are also having a bit of a struggle. Then, delivering the power of 290 Newton meters to the road as needed. I'd suggest we make a U-turn here and give it another attempt to see how it really performs this time around. Second try countdown.
3, 2, 1.
Go. And I'm back on the throttle, back on the slight traction edge with 30, 50, 70, and we continue accelerating 100 kilometers per hour, doing the brake test again. Now it's also nicely gripping the pads, and let's see how it performs this time around. Whether Stefan has managed to record the corresponding values on the draggy this time.
Better now, 0.60 in 4.25 and 0.100 in 9.37.
Yes, unfortunately, both are slightly off the factory specs of 7.9 seconds, but we'll let it slide just this once for the BYD Atto 2, because most of you likely won't be too concerned about the acceleration figures in the first place, but rather on the space, the fuel efficiency, the travel comfort, and of course, the technical features and overall practicality and design of this vehicle. A modern electric car, of course, also requires sensible and efficient route planning. Ideally, of course, including charging planning. And if it works out the very best, then probably even via voice, right?
That's the dream.
And that's why we say, hey, BYD,
Ja?
take us to Munich to the Viktualien Markt 1.
Here's Viktualien Markt 1. Absolutely no problem at all with that.
That was insanely fast, and here you can really feel the difference entirely thanks to the impressive power of having a solid 8-core processor inside, but
Ich beginne mit der Navigation.
it's taking a little moment now. It's most likely been waiting for some specific command or instruction from me to keep the process moving forward. And that's truly such a fascinating story, how he's meticulously building the route here step by step as it unfolds. You've got a really great overview here, but at the moment, I can't seem to find any load planning in this specific section. Nope, it's about 400 kilometers. We've got 86% in the battery right now. That's obviously going to be damn tight. So that we can make it, I'm not sure if we might need to manually add a charging stop here just to be on the safe side. It's always better to plan ahead and avoid any surprises, you know? We can definitely do that by searching for charging stations along the route here, which should help us plan things out smoothly and avoid any issues. You can see here, these are the charging stations in the area and also around the destination. So these are the corresponding search modes available, and of course you also have the option to make further adjustments here as needed, tailored to your specific preferences.
Metern rechts abbiegen.
You can see it here very clearly, all the different details that can be taken into consideration accordingly. So you can also select from various charging networks, different plug types, and several other relevant options available here. If you have specific preferences like where you want to charge, and of course you have to consider the functionality. Automatically add those charging stations, Stefan.
And activate them.
Yes, so it can probably manage charging planning.
Das war er wieder, der
Exactly.
andere
That's the
Teil.
user error again, because BYD naturally didn't activate that in our test vehicle. Of course, it's also not really...
Clever.
Well, we don't want to jump the gun here, but just pay attention if you want to have a charging plan that you actually activate it in the respective electric car. For many of you, interior noise levels are crucial. Having a quiet and peaceful cabin is essential. We'll test it. Using the device, we're at 50 kilometers per hour. 57, 58 decibels, that's really a great reading. We're accelerating to 70. And there too, a nice reading at 60 decibels. So this shows very good soundproofing, even though we have single glazing here, meaning not two panes connected with a film. And now we're also going to test it with you on the highway at 100. Now that we've arrived on the highway, we're going to measure the interior noise with you at 100 kilometers per hour. 70, 71 decibels. That's a great value when we consider that a VW ID 0.3, which is similar in size, was in the mid-70s decibels. So BYD has clearly placed a lot of emphasis on good soundproofing as well. What we really like is the latest software version that's been seamlessly integrated here in the BYD Atto 2. There you have some great options that BYD has always had so far. Namely, by simply using two fingers here, you can always pull down a quick access function to easily tweak and adjust a few settings whenever needed. In order to make the corresponding adjustments, what it has always had as well is the ability to change the temperature or adjust the fan speed with 3 fingers. I think that's smartly done as well, and what's supposedly new is that you can now customize and arrange your favorite functions directly on the bottom layer here for quick access. I have to say that's also a really great feature. So you can always customize and easily access individual fields down here at the bottom, like for example, Now, I didn't press it correctly, but you can easily place the steering wheel heater here, for example, so you can quickly access and control it via the dedicated button on the display. It's straightforward and efficient to use. What has also remained is, of course, the adjustment of the display. I wanted to show you that again in the navigation because, especially if you perhaps, I have it set to north now, having north at the top might be the better option. So you have this nice big overview. If you want to turn left or right, especially when navigating in an urban environment, it's just super, super practical. Or even on the highway when you're maybe looking for the next rest stop, since you get a lot more information than in the horizontal view, I have to say it's really neat, right?
Yeah, it's awesome. The shortcuts especially are really great.
Yeah, and then you even have the option to switch over to snowfield right here, which is cool. So when you drive into the mountains with front-wheel drive, you can also switch over to snowfields like this. That's not bad either. So BYD, I think, really does a great job here by offering various options. A crucial aspect of a good car is undoubtedly its travel comfort. How can we effectively compare the comfort levels of different vehicles, taking into account factors like seating, ride smoothness, and overall driving experience? And for this purpose, we've created a medium that provides us with neutral values in that regard. And that's what we've named Stefan's Popometer. And naturally, we're curious to see how it's reacting today over there in Atto 2, Stefan.
I find the seats super comfy. I have great side support here, and the headrest is really great too. You can adjust everything really well. What I find a bit disappointing, and we might have already mentioned this today, is that I unfortunately can't adjust the seat in height or depth, but only the backrest and back and forth. But well, let's just leave it at that for now and move on with it then. From the suspension, I actually find it quite pleasant. Like you once said, firm yet comfortable. It's fun.
Exactly, we see that here too, looking outside a bit, Stefan. We can actually demonstrate it quite well here, showing that it has hardly any sway or tilt movements. And what I also really like is that it's not overly stiff. Some of you might think, it could still be a bit tighter though, you know? It could maybe also have a bit more direct steering. Yeah, I wouldn't deny that, but when it comes to stiffness, I'm more like the French. I tend to lean toward a bit more comfort and a softer, more relaxed, easygoing feel overall. Enjoys. I just think sometimes we Europeans tend to push for too much stiffness. So because in the end we want to glide smoothly, and especially with something like an Atto 2, where we might use it for short and medium distances, and perhaps even for some countryside rides, to work or in urban environments, especially in the city, I want to travel comfortably there. I don't want to be bouncing around and feeling every single bump or manhole cover along the way, you know? Then we need a super sports car, right? No, that was a bit of an exaggeration, but you'll have to define for yourselves what you want. If you're looking for something sporty and firm but still comfortable, then it might be a bit too smooth for you. I personally feel that it's actually perfectly suited for this particular car.
Perfect, really?
Let's discuss the consumption of the BYD Atto 2, and naturally, it's probably been slightly exaggerated here, most likely. Speeding down the highway, we went pretty aggressively through the area with it, performed acceleration tests with you guys and so on, so we ended up with 842.3 kilometers, 20.7 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, cumulative average energy consumption as it indicates here. Itself. We have to be honest here. I believe that in an urban environment in the summer, with maximum recuperation, you probably really can achieve that. You can probably manage 10, 11, 12, 13 kilowatt hours smoothly in city traffic. If it goes over a longer distance, it's likely to rise to, I'd guess, around 15, 16 kilowatt hours in the summer. And if you happen to include some quicker highway trips along the way, it might even climb up to somewhere in the range of 20 kilowatt hours or so. All right, let's break it down and estimate the consumption. I'd say realistically, you're looking at a combined range of around 240 kilometers in total. For those for whom that's not enough, you'll later have the option of a third larger battery. Zrenia, which will also come with the Comfort variant, offering a slightly higher fast charging capability, which certainly makes sense, as it might take, say, 37 minutes to go from 10 to 80% in the Active and Boost variants available here, providing even more convenience. So from that perspective, I believe BYD provides a compelling and interesting solution for all. Price ranges and practical applications with the Atto 2. And that is likely even the perfect transition now to wrap things up and lead us to the final conclusion with the BYD Atto 2. Yeah, I have to say I'm genuinely impressed, especially when it comes to the overall value for money here, Stefan.
Yes, truly.
Lounge, for the limited quantity, 29,990 euros. That's definitely, in my opinion, quite a statement.
Beginning with the active? Definitely yes.
Especially when we might also compare it to a competitive environment. What comes to mind? Maybe a Kia EV3, a Citroën, certainly also perhaps the Stodder L-Rock. Perhaps it's just 10 centimeters longer. But I think that's not so relevant, always fixating on those 10 centimeters. Exactly to define. We're in the B segment here, and I have to say it offers plenty of space in the interior. 400 liters of trunk space, that's also very, very decent. Plus, of course, a small trailer load, a small roof load, foldable seats. I think many of you with grown-up kids that you can comfortably take in the back would also like to fit 3, especially when it's for the kids' sports activities or similar occasions. Then comfortably transport them as well. Just like the corresponding luggage, making it convenient for both passengers and gear. Yes, what it definitely offers is front-wheel drive, which, however, when it comes to wet or even slippery surfaces or maybe snow, can tend to lose grip and struggle a bit more than expected. Simply because it also offers 290 Newton meters of torque. And that, I think, is very, very decent for a compact electric SUV. With a combustion engine, we'd really have to reach deep into the power box for that kind of performance. I think it's well powered. With a top speed of 167 kilometers per hour, which we showed you, it's sufficient for a vehicle of this size. More is always better. I'd be fine with 180 or even 200. The brakes are fine. Sure, there are some that might brake even more sharply and consistently, but this setup is definitely safe and comfortable, no doubt about it, and it handles really well overall in most conditions. And yeah, the acceleration at 7.9 seconds, I believe, is completely sufficient, right?
Absolutely. For an all-rounder that you use every day in an urban environment, it's definitely enough.
Without seeming arrogant or conceited, it might also be an interesting second car for the one or the other. There, I think it's a perfect car for those who might consider using it as their primary vehicle. We might have to wait until the fourth quarter of the year for the comfort model version. And starting from 38,990 euros, it comes with the larger battery and the higher fast charging capability, making it potentially more suitable as a primary vehicle for medium and long distances. I think where it's definitely almost unbeatable at the moment is clearly when it comes to price, features, and overall performance, right? So there we've got...
You really get a lot with the vehicle for a very good entry-level price, making it an excellent value for what you pay.
What BYD definitely needs is attractive leasing and financing terms. I believe that sometimes the registration numbers might also depend on that. And what they want to work on is the dealer network. Currently, there are only 27 dealers in Germany, but they aim to push that number up to 120 by the end of the year and then increase it again to 150 dealers by 2026. So it's really about building a dense, structured dealer and service network, ensuring you essentially have one conveniently located near your local area. Then you'll find the BYD dealer you trust. If you're also perhaps looking for more BYDs, you'll find them here on the channel. Also the Dolphin, the Atto 3, the bigger brother, up to then of course the Dot, Seal U, one size larger, or even the Seal Lion 7, which I kind of misjudged a bit. So this really is a cool electric SUV, especially with the power we had there. It was genuinely impressive and fun to drive. So it really took off like a rocket. And with that, we've reached the end of today's video with the BYD Atto 2. And yeah, what I forgot to mention, by the way, it doesn't have summer tires on, but all-season tires. Yeah, and what I didn't really like is this charging speed peaking at 65 kilowatts. But for that, there's probably the option with the comfort package, the larger battery, and fast charging capability, which then significantly reduces the charging time. I'd be happy if you could check whether you're part of the Simply Electric community. If not, we'd really appreciate it if you could support us by subscribing today. It's completely free for you, but really helps us grow the channel. Don't forget to like and drop a comment below sharing your thoughts on the BYD Atto 3. And then I'll say heartfelt thanks for watching, and until next time here at Simply Electric with the latest electric car, you, Stefan?
Yes, do we need to address it again?
Well, I actually didn't want to bring it up this time, but BYD unfortunately just can't seem to integrate the technology into the body, into the rear view mirrors, side mirrors properly. Of course, it has to have this big chunky shark fin again. I honestly just don't get it at all. Some people find it stylish. There was a comment in the last video, I think, on the L-Rock. Believe it or not, someone actually sees it as a design feature. A shark fin, folks, they're serious about it. I'm out of here. Bye-bye, take care, see you soon.